So we talked about the idle scan previously. Now we're going to go through it in detail. So we're going to send a send plus an act packet. So that's not two packets, right? We're just setting two flags inside of one packet, just to be clear. So we're going to send a packet with the send and the act flags set. And the way the idle scan works is you want to find a machine that's idle, which means the sequence numbers that we talked about, the TCP sequence numbers, are not climbing. We said that one of the ways they get around this kind of attack is that they've randomized where the sequence starts. But once it starts, it still starts in somewhat of a sequential order. It might increment, so every time you send a packet, let me just go back. So when we send a packet, the sequence number gets incremented. There was a time when it would increment numerically and in order, right? So sequentially, it would go from, say it started at 5, it would go to 6, it would go to 7, it would go to 8. But now they randomized where it starts from, so it'll start. So as you send a send packet, the sequence will get set by the server and it'll say, I want to start at 21,500. And then as you send another packet, your ACK, because it's going to send you the send ACK, and then it's going to give you the ACK. So it's going to, the packets that it's sending will increment the number, and then the packets that you're sending will increment the number. But they get incremented no longer sequentially, they're randomly incremented as well. So it might jump to 5, it might jump to 30, it might jump to 50, it might jump to 52. So, but from the base of where we started, we can try to guess it. So that's where the idle scan is going to try to do. It's going to try to jump into that conversation. So I've got a conversation with a zombie server, which means it doesn't have a lot of packets coming to it. So the sequence numbers are not jumping very much. It's very little, low communication. That's what characterizes a zombie machine. Now, if you go to a con and people are saying, I've got these zombie machines, and you're thinking, well, those aren't busy machines, right? No. Zombie machines means it's doing what I tell it to do. So it's got a twofold definition. So for here, we're talking about a true zombie in the sense of a scanning perspective. We're trying to jump in on its communication or get control of its communication by guessing a sequence number so that it will start accepting our commands and talk to us. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the goal here. Okay, so now let's jump in. We're going to send it a packet with the send and the ACK flag set. And then it's gonna talk to us, so we're gonna get some information about its IPID, the sequence number. So every packet on the internet has a fragment identification number or an IPID, okay? So it's the fragmented identification number, which increases every time a host sends a packet or receives a packet, right? So zombie not expecting a send plus an ACK or a packet with the send and the ACK flag set, right? That's what they're saying there. And it'll send a reset packet disclosing the IPID. So it's not expecting that because it's already got a communication going, most likely. So actually, no matter what, it's not expecting a send ACK, right? Because it only expects to give, actually it would never expect a send plus an ACK, because when we send a send, it sends the send plus the ACK, okay? So if it tries to talk to another server and said send, then it might be expecting a send ACK, right? So when it sends the reset packet to us, it also exposes its current IPID, what the current sequence number is at. So we want to analyze the reset packet from the zombie machine, extract that IPID number, and then we're going to start throwing numbers at it, guessing it until it starts talking to us. So that's kind of the plan. I explained that earlier. You can kind of see that at the bottom. So the IPID probe sends a send plus an ACK flag set. So you send a packet with the flag send and ACK set, and the response is going to be a reset with the IPID 31337. So step 2, the send packet on the target machine, port 80, spoofing the IP address of the zombie. If the port is open, the target will send a send plus an ACK packet. It's not a send plus an ACK packet, it's a packet with the send and ACK flag set, right? We know this. So to the zombie, and response from the zombie sends the reset to the target. If the port is closed, the target will send a reset to the zombie, but the zombie will not send anything back, okay? So that's kind of how it works. So when we're jumping into the conversation, okay? So here's what the picture looks like down here. This will make it more clear, because when I'm reading the words I know is confusing you, I have to think about it myself, so I understand that it's confusing. But if you look at the picture, it won't be. So we have an attacker and we have a zombie. And then we have a target. So the zombie is just a machine that doesn't have anyone else really talking to it too much, right? So we're going to try to jump into their conversation by guessing those IPIDs. So we send a SYN packet to port 80 spoofing the zombie's IP address. So we've identified a zombie machine, and now we have identified a target, and we found a zombie that it's been talking to. And then we try to send a reset or a SYN packet to port 80 spoofing the zombie's IP address. So it sends the packet with the SYN and the ACK flag set to the zombie because that's the address we spoofed. And then the reset packet comes back from the zombie because he's not expecting that, and he gives them the IPID. So that means that the port is open. So we also have to be able to sniff that communication going to and from the zombie, right? And then over on the right, we have the SYN packet to port 80 spoofing the zombie IP address, and then we get a reset. If that happens, then the port is closed. So that's how we determine whether or not the port is open or closed. You can see this is quite a bit of trouble to try to figure that out, right? So step 3, we probe the zombie IPID again. So we do an IPID probes. We send a packet with the SYN and the ACK flag set. The response is the IPID 31339 reset packet. The IPID incremented by 2 since step 1, the port number 80 must be open. So it's incrementing by 2 this time. So we don't know what it'll be next time. We just start sending a whole bunch of packets with the same the same packet with the sequential IPID numbers going up and up and up and up sequentially. We're trying to guess which one, and then it'll respond at one of them. That's the idea here. You can actually jump in on a conversation, or you can do some work with the IPID and try and figure out if the port's open or closed here, okay? So there's 2 things you can kind of do with this.